Hi. This is about Jim Lewis. I believe that's his last name. Worked at the St. Francis Hospital in Wichita, Kansas. This is several years ago, quite a few years ago. And you try to decide, is this sexual harassment and or is this religious discrimination? I was hired to work there in the transportation department. I would transport stuff from the nurses' stations to the different labs and stuff, etc., etc. Jim Lewis supposedly was my boss. I started working there. I would read the Bible whenever I didn't have to be working. We went on different shifts, 15 minutes on, about 15 minutes off, etc., etc. Everybody I worked with, all they ever talked about was all the drugs they was doing and all the drinking they was doing, and almost every single one of them would come in all drunk and hungover. They'd be laughing around, telling nasty jokes in between each other. I just ignored it and did my job. Well, I guess some of them didn't like that because supposedly Jim Lewis, we had to take a CPR class. Although I'd had CPR before, we took this CPR class. Now, I had transported a patient over to where they do the MRIs and stuff, and there was a girl that worked over there. There were several girls, different people worked there, but one of them had very big breast, as they may be called. Well, during the CPR class, Jim Lewis started making a joke about this girl. So is that sexual harassment? He says, if any of you have to ever transport a patient over to the MIR department, you should really watch out for her, and he said this girl's name, because of her big boobs. If her bra happens to break, it could fly off and kill you. And every single one of the people started laughing. But of course, you know, that's what they was doing anyway, whenever they'd be telling their dirty jokes anyway amongst each other, talking about how high and drugged up they was the night before and before they came to work or whatever. Okay, well, I didn't laugh. So then, several days later, Jim Lewis called me into his office. And I think it's like 1 or 2 days before my 90 days was up, something like that, however much the time period was. Maybe 30 days, 60 days. Anyway, before I was supposed to become a permanent employee. He handed me a pink piece of paper and he says, sign this. It's a disciplinary notice because you and your co-workers do not seem to communicate with each other very well. Yeah, I said, am I doing my job okay? Well, other than this, just sign this piece of paper. I told him, sorry, I'm not going to sign it. And so then he filled out another one and said, well, then sign this one. It says that you're not cooperating with me. I told him I wasn't going to sign that either. He said, you are fired. I said, okay. I got up to walk out of his office. And then he started hollering at me. No, sit down. You quit. No, you're fired. You quit. You're fired. You quit. Get back here. And I said, I'm sorry. You either fired me or you're saying I quit, so I'm leaving. And then he'd be saying, get back here. Get back here. Soldier, soldier. And he started hollering at me, calling me a soldier. He started like following me all the way down the hallway. The offices and stuff where we start out at each to do our stuff is down in the basement. His office is down in the basement too. I started leaving and walking down the hallway to get on the elevator and stuff to go ahead and leave. And he's like chasing me like down the hallway, hollering at me. Soldier, you're fired, you quit, get back here, soldier, get back here. And I'm like, what is the matter with that guy? Something's definitely wrong with him. So I just went ahead and left. Now that was at the St. Francis Hospital in Wichita, Kansas. That's supposedly a Catholic hospital, I think. But they have that type of stuff going on there. It's really, really amazing. But the worst is yet to come. So, I ask you a question. Were they sexually harassing that girl that worked in the MRI room? She may not have known it, or maybe she does. They supposedly was talking in between themselves about other people like that too, I believe. Well, and was I fired? Or told to quit? And was that all illegal? Because they're into drugs and drinking, and they didn't like me sitting there reading my Bible? Is that religious discrimination? You know, because we'd go on our shifts, we'd go pick stuff up, take it, we'd be gone about 15 minutes. We would come back because of the number of us, and to make sure that things would be getting delivered on time and picked up on time. They had to have the number of people that we had. You would then come back, and you would usually have 10 to 15 minutes before you had to make your rounds again, because then the other people would be making their rounds. We kind of like rotated. This person goes, that person goes, this person goes, that person goes, so that you're rotating. And the day I was hired and the day I started, they says, during those 10 or 15 minutes, you can do whatever you want to. It doesn't matter. And so I would sit and read my Bible. But I noticed all they ever did was talk and drink about drugs and all the things they were doing with drugs and drinking and telling their nasty jokes. Okay, so I hope you can give me some answers on this. You can send them to me on this YouTube. Send me any answers you can on this. And I would like to hear what the St. Francis Church, the St. Francis Hospital has to say about all that. Then, of course, you can tune in to one of my other videos, and it's called Doctors Doing Illegal Abortions at St. Francis Hospital in Wichita, Kansas. Doctors, possibly doctors, and drug sellers. Thank you very much, and we still have a little bit more time on here. Actually, the drug sellers was selling illegal drugs. Actually, a doctor. And oh, it's just like all of that hospital going on, killing babies before they're born, abortion. And one of the worst things about it, I think the girl was only like maybe 16. She was under 18. She was a minor without her parents' permission, and this doctor knew all that information. But due to him being an illegal drug seller and the person who he's given the abortions to being into drugs, then they all had a good deal going on amongst themselves. Tune in to the next video on this. Thank you, and have a good night.